Christine Habeeb, and I'm an assistant professor in sports psychology at East Carolina University currently. So yes, sports psychology is the study of athletes and teams and coaches and all the support staff around athletes and how the psychology fits into athletic performance. So what I get to do is have an awesome job, and I get to explore why athletes choke under pressure, why teams don't score as much as they were expected to score, what makes a winning team, and other elements around confidence, motivation, and other things that affect athletic performance. Now, sports psychology is pretty cool because it's the newest thing, if you will. We know a lot about strength and conditioning. We know how to get athletes strong. We know a lot about nutrition. We know what they need to eat to be successful and to recover quickly. And we also know a lot about strategy and techniques because coaches have done such a great job over the few years developing and improving aspects of the game. The last frontier is the mind of the athlete. So why do athletes fail sometimes? And why are they so successful unexpectedly? A lot of the mental side of sport has to do with that. And that's what I study every day. And that's what I teach about every day. So my job is officially about 50% teaching and about 50% of research. And what that means is I teach a couple of classes each semester. Our semesters are very similar to middle school, high school, in that in the fall, I teach a couple of classes about applied sports psychology. So I teach students how to understand the aspects that affect the mental side of sport, what they are, and how to intervene, how to help athletes. What I also do, though, is teach about group dynamics. And so what makes a winning team, as well as what dynamics in exercise can get people to exercise more. And so I teach those two classes, as well as do research in those two areas. Mainly, I do research on group dynamics, but I also do research on athlete mental health and how we can support athletes to deal with potential mental health problems. And I love all of the research that I do because it directly impacts sport and athletes right away. So I can tell a coach how to make his or her team more cohesive. I can help athletic departments set up a environment that makes athletes feel more comfortable talking about mental health, going to a psychologist or a clinician about their mental health issues to support them in their performance on the field. And my job is amazing because I get to work with athletes and coaches daily, as well as students who are interested in this topic as well. Now, being a professor sounds really boring. You might be familiar with The Big Bang Theory or other TV shows that show teachers and professors in college who just sit at a computer, they just grade papers all day. And I'll admit that's maybe not my favorite part of my job, but it's such a small part of it. Mostly, I am looking at data that we collected with athletes. I'm handing out surveys. I'm going and observing teams. I'm recording performances. We bring athletes into the lab sometimes. And so there's really an active element of research that is not well understood. And what's cool is you get to research what you want. No one tells me what I have to look at. Anything that I'm curious about, I get to go explore and I get to see if something's there. So my job is awesome. What's awesome about it also is that it's not your typical 9 to 5. So I actually get to set my own working hours as long as it fits in with my teaching. So a typical week I teach on a Tuesday, Thursday, and so my afternoons might be taken up, but everything else is quite flexible. I decide when I do a certain study, when I meet with students who are doing their own studies who I might mentor. I get to decide if I want to start earlier in the morning or start later in the day, which is quite nice. So in some ways, it's kind of like being self-employed. I'm in charge of what I do as long as I hit certain targets, such as being productive in writing papers or teaching my classes and doing all of those things. So there are certain targets that, no doubt I have to meet, but I have a lot of flexibility in how I do that, which is pretty cool. And again, not something people know about my job. Now, the required skills to get to where I am include having certain qualifications. And so to teach at a university, the minimum you need is a master's degree. So you go to college, you have your 4-year undergraduate degree, and then after that you decide, I want a little bit more. I want to learn a little bit more in a specialized topic such as sports psychology. So you go get a master's, which is usually about 2 years, and you can teach on that. If you want to do the research element, I would encourage you to get a PhD, which is after the master's. And you're thinking, more school, man. But let me tell you, it's worth it, because in my PhD, I got to study exactly what I wanted, and I actually got to do it abroad. So I got to move to Scotland for about 4 years and do another degree. So not only did I get to learn what I want and work on what I want all day, I also got to do it in another country, which was pretty amazing. And so within my PhD, just to give you a background, I was a gymnast / cheerleader forever, and in college I did cheerleading. And I was really interested in how in the world do these flyers, the person being thrown in the air, if you've seen cheerleading, how do they trust the people catching them? Like, why did I do that for 10 to 12 years? And why do I enjoy that sport so much? So that's what I did my PhD on, or that was the topic I researched for several years. And now I look at what we would call the group dynamics of that, the competence or the trust between athletes. I now study that in other sports with other teams outside of cheerleading. So, I got to do what I want. So it might seem like school can sometimes be not the topic you're most interested in, but as you do more and more schooling, you get to specialize in something you're very interested in. Now, let me tell you though, I was not the person everyone thought would go to school. I mean, my family kind of laughs. My friends definitely laugh at me. They can't believe that I'm the one of all of us that went through so much schooling. Not that I was ever a bad student, but I definitely wasn't one thinking I want to stay in school for longer. Because again, I didn't want to sit all day. I wanted to be active. I wanted to do things. But as I got into coaching, I started to notice there's more to know, and I could be a better coach if I understood the world around me a little bit better. And so by doing my master's, I learned a little bit about the research, and I decided to keep doing that. And what's cool is now that I do research and teaching, part of it feels like coaching. My teaching feels like I'm coaching future consultants or future researchers. And my research feels like I'm in charge, and I'm leading things. I'm deciding what the goal is and how we're going to achieve it. So a part of me is still a coach, I feel like, but just in a different way. A little bit more writing, a little bit more formality than what we think about coaches. Now, as far as those unofficial, skills that you need to be a professor, you have to be willing to work with others, to mentor them, to think about students and their needs to be a successful teacher. You have to be really motivated. So although there's so much flexibility in my job, there's a lot to do. So I have to remain motivated to achieve all of those tasks. What you don't have to be is the smartest person in the room. All of my colleagues and I laugh all the time because we don't feel like we're the smartest person. We don't feel like we're a genius or any smarter than anyone else. We were just interested in something, and we were willing to do the work to find out about it. So when you hear or you think about professors and they sound really smart, they're just like people, like in your family and your own friends who just happen to want to go do something. So I think a barrier to some people wanting to come to research or to teaching or this side less industry focused is thinking I have to be the smartest person, and that's not true at all. You just have to be motivated. You have to be willing to work with others. If you have good leadership skills, that will make you very successful, in addition to being organized and just curious about the world is really those values that you should focus on. Now, as far as sports psychology goes, there's other related careers that you might want to be aware of. A lot more people are interested or aware of consultants. And there are sports psychology consultants for specific athletes or for teams that get hired. And what they do is they go and they work with these athletes on particular skills, such as mindfulness or recovering from mistakes or overcoming a slump that they might be going through. They also do things with groups, such as improving cohesion and communication. And they work directly with athletes. There is a certification to indicate that you might be better as a consultant And it's a little bit different than just getting a master's. And so if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to look up the Association for Applied Sports Psychology. But what I encourage you is to also think about research or a mix of the two. So within my research career, I am consulting with athletes and athletic departments here at our own university. So a part of my job is unofficially to consult, and it's nice because my job is very stable. It doesn't depend on a new coach wanting to hire me. I just get to do my research and on the side do consulting. So within sports psychology, you have the consulting side as well as the research side, and they go hand in hand. To be a good consultant, you have to be aware of new research and new findings and new things coming out. And to be a good researcher, you have to understand that whatever we learn in research, we're going to apply. So there is kind of both sides to sports psychology. Other related fields include working with the military. So a lot of our performance skills that we teach athletes, such as goal setting and imagery, we teach them relaxation skills, work very well within the military setting. And with a master's, you can actually become what they call a resilience trainer. And we have had students of our own after getting a master's degree here go out and do that. So there are related careers that all have to do with teaching people how to perform under pressure, such as the military, such as sport. So I encourage you to think about that and use some of those skills in different ways. My advice, though, if you're interested in not just sport, or if you are an athlete yourself, or you are wanting to get into coaching, is to just think about the different avenues about sport that we need to know more about. That's all research is. It sounds very formal, but it's really just about we want to know some more things to improve athletes' performances. So if you think about how the body moves, or if you think about how the mind works, or the technology people use in sport, we don't know enough about any of that. And so I encourage you to think about when you're watching your next ball game, what are all the aspects of making these athletes particularly good, or why are they not performing as well as they should? My other suggestion is to think beyond a physical therapy career. A lot of students come in an exercise physiology major or approach, and they think, I want to become a physical therapist. It's a very tough career to get into. It's challenging because so many people want to be that, because it feels like, or it seems like, a very active career, which it is. But I argue that my career and my job is just as active and interactive with people as a physical therapist might be. So I encourage you to think beyond just what you have experienced and look at sport from different angles. And that's really how my career has happened. I was an athlete. I started coaching. I got really interested in how my sport works in the different avenues. And here I am today. I get paid to teach other people about it, to consult athletes and coaches, and I get to research and find out more about it. So I get to lead the field now and help, our field of sport be better and be stronger and understand why athletes can succeed. So that is my advice for you. That is a little bit about my story and just generally being a professor, but also within sports psychology. I encourage you all to get onto LinkedIn and to get onto other platforms and just start following sports psychologists or professors, because they're putting out really cool information that you might not think about and things that you might find helpful if you are an athlete or you think you might be a coach. So thanks for listening. If you're ever interested in sports psychology, please contact me. I'm happy to answer questions. And I hope, that you guys think about outside of the box, really. Have a great day, everyone.